All right.
We're back.
Back again.
Although we never left.
I'm, what day is this coming out? April 12th?
Good God.
11th? 12th,
Somewhere
I think?
down the road. So much so that when this actually comes out,
Yes.
we might be closer to an Edmonton Oiler, Toronto Maple Leafs
yeah.
Stanley Cup final.
That'd be sick. That'd be really sick.
Would it?
Well, I mean, I liked that. I don't know if you watched, but the Oilers Leafs played about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And there was a weird moment where Matthews and McDavid kind of went at it a little bit.
Yep.
It was weird. It was the dumbest fucking game I've seen ever. The refs were out of their minds.
As they have been.
Yeah, it's terrible. Something needs to happen.
Honestly think if that ends up happening, like I really think that could be more of a rivalry and some hatred going than it would even be for a Battle of Alberta, let's say.
Yeah.
Leafs, Oilers.
Yeah, it'd be crazy.
And the
Well,
Stanley
it
Cup
helps
final?
that the Oilers overpaid severely for a lot of Leafs. So
Yeah, here we go.
and like 8 of them are still on the team.
Won't even be using the main piece in that.
No, what is that? 6.5 million, something like that.
There,
I don't know what you were thinking.
We have no idea what it's going to be like, but
Yeah, no, that would be sick. That would be really cool. It would be. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen. But it would
Canadian,
be this.
one Canadian team in the Stanley Cup Finals. Come on, when was the last time that happened?
Well, it's been 93 since the last time we won it. One team in the Canadian final. Last was Ottawa, like 2013.
Oof, yikes! A long time ago. A long time.
It's been a long time. So to have
Ottawa.
2 in and a guarantee. Oh my, yeah, okay.
Anyways, we are here, the road, the stage, back again for the conclusion of a 2-parter interview with Evan Peng, aka Aysanabee, incredibly talented musician. If you haven't listened to part 1 or watched part 1, well, you should probably do that before you dig into this one. That's how it works.
I mean, it's not. Yeah.
It's not a like
I don't know if
after
there's going to be
release
a carry
prelude.
over from. I don't
Yeah.
know. It all depends on where this got cut. Did we end on a cliffhanger?
I don't. Well, that remains to be seen. We don't even know yet.
All right, we'll pick it up.
The truth is that it's a transitional period over here at the road, the stage, mainly just because I'm moving down to Calgary. So that's what's happening right now.
Officially, we'll be in Calgary. By
Yes,
now,
by the time this
right?
episode comes out. It's the weirdest thing. I'm moving out of Red Deer, a city I've lived in for almost 7 years. And the day I move, I also fly to Toronto. And then, so I technically don't really have a home until April 10th or something.
That's funny.
It's
so
crazy.
If you get caught doing something bad in Toronto and they ask for your address,
Yeah,
what do you do?
I got nothing. I'm a nomad.
Just a transient, a
Yeah,
gypsy.
Exactly. So yeah, that's why things are a little interesting over here on the screen.
We're working ahead.
We are working ahead, like good proactive boys.
Should try this more often, maybe.
But what I'm really excited about, I'm assuming that last night I will have had a fantastic time seeing Mom Jeans and Bearings at Beau's Bar and Stage. That's an April 11th show.
Man, it's April already.
Yeah, I know. It's
Holy
crazy.
crap.
It's crazy.
And so we've already got announced Strumbellas.
Yes.
For the summer. Have you got any other summer stuff lined up? Any shows?
Yep, going to see the OCs and Dead as part of Slut Island. There's another show I just bought tickets to. Oh yeah, Fucked Up and Hallucination are doing like a big hardcore electronic wrestling night at the Palace in May, I think. End of May. So yeah, those are pretty much my plans.
I'm excited. I've got Jason Isbell July 4th.
Oh, where?
In Missoula, Montana.
Oh, cool.
Then July, I got to try to keep this all July 9th. So July 4th, July 9th, I'm going to go to Saskatoon for Charlie Crockett.
Right.
Finally.
Anyone else?
And Margot Price.
Oh, right. That's one day.
That's one day. And then July 13th, I think, is the date we announced for the Strumbellas.
Yes,
here
July 13th.
At Beau's. So,
First time at Beau's, too, which I forgot about that.
Is it their first?
It's going to be a wild show. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it's crazy. And Dave Ritter just announced a new band.
Did he really?
Yeah, Dave Ritter and the Heavy Secrets with Sky Wallace. Just announced it a couple hours ago.
Kidding me.
No. Yeah. No joke.
Okay,
I wouldn't lie to you
you've
about
lost
that.
me for the rest of whatever we're doing here.
So with that being said, so Pete can get off and figure out the music news today, let's get into our part 2 of our interview with Aysanabee.
With the conversation being in the beginning, and I know everything's kind of really going on with this album, and the deluxe edition has just been released. Do you know what's next? Have you got plans for a future project, or just kind of living in this moment for now?
We'll see. Like, I think I wrote, like, we wrote kind of like an album already, but like I'm not sure if we're gonna release it though. Like, we might release a couple singles off of it, but like I think I think because I was trying to like write from the road, and I was kind of write from these small pockets of time that I had. And because when I did that whole Western tour, I actually like ended the tour like in New Jersey.
Okay.
I like one. There was like a woman who had like heard me on the radio.
Oh, right. Yeah, I
Oh,
forgot
yeah.
about this. Holy shit, I completely forgot about this. Go ahead.
And I could jump back to that story in a second.
Okay.
But yes, I played the thing, and then I decided to stay an extra day and a half in Brooklyn because I have some friends there, and my friend Miranda is Canadian as well, and like I went over there and kind of just like we met up. And had breakfast at her house, and then we're just talking about music, and then she has like 2 unreleased albums that she wrote over the pandemic, and like she's showing me some of her unreleased material, and she's like telling me the stories behind the songs, and then she just goes and like hops on her piano and like kind of plays one of them, like just the piano, no mic, just singing it. And she was able to just bring me with her. She was able to bring me back to that place to where she was when she was writing the song, and the emotion in it. Like you can feel it, and you're right there with her. And she was just like, "So what have you been working on?" And I was like, like because I wasn't in that special place. Like I was writing, but like
you just feel some pressure to create new content.
There was a little bit of that for sure. But I think it's just kind of taking your time with it and making sure it's kind of special, you know what I mean? Like, so, and just living a little bit too, because like, I mean, you can just be on the road and studio, but you're not going to really write anything unless you're living, you know what I mean? Like, what are you going to write about? Like, I mean, there's cool, like road stories and stuff like that, but like, unless you're out there kind of doing something that's just really human, like then how are you just gonna like communicate that to people and like make them feel it, right? And so like the songs that made are good, and some people have said they're great, but like for me, like I just feel like I know I could do better.
Okay. Sounds like you put a lot of thought into the different sides of what makes a song from a listener and artist perspective.
No, exactly. Maybe selfishly a little bit more on the artist side too, just because like I have to play them every day.
that seems totally acceptable to me. I think I'd rather have that than the complacent artist.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so when Evan was here in Red Deer, you told me about this private gig that you got. And that was shortly after, right?
Yeah. So like when I was wrapping up and finished in Vancouver, I had to go to New Jersey because this really nice woman had heard me on the radio, and then like had contacted my agent and was like, we're patrons of the arts, like our family, there's musicians in our family, and like, we're just wondering, like, could we buy Aysanabee? No, she didn't say that. But essentially, there was like an opportunity to play a gig there, and we saw the contract. And I was like, "Yeah, I can make that work." Like honestly, like I'm headed all the way back over there, anyways, and like, so like I remember like Googling the address, and like it was like kind of like this big mansion in like the suburb, and like I just remember being like I'm not sure if I like somewhat recently saw the movie Get Out, but I was kind of just like giving everyone on the team the address because I'm like I'm going there by myself, and this is where I'm going if I don't come back.
Send a search party
and so they sent like a really nice car to like pick me up from the airport and bring me to the hotel to stay the night. But then in the morning, like they'd gotten this lift, and like I remember hopping in this lift, and there's like kind of like food containers on the floors and stuff, and like I was kind of just like all right, and the guy had like this like kind of thick Jersey accent, and like he's like driving me into the woods, and I was just kind of like I was like, man, did I piss somebody off? Are they going to kill me out here? And then like and then we started getting into like the mansions area, and I was like, okay, they're not gonna kill me around. There's too many rich people here. They're not gonna kill me. But then we like drove past the house, and I was like, what? I was like, I googled that house so many times. I know exactly what it looks like. And then yeah, it turned out like we played like their like private members club.
Oh my god!
And we get there, and yeah, the woman, she's so nice. She's like, thank you so much for being here. She's like, I'm like, God, I get to do this. And like, she curates these shows at that club, and I just remember, yeah, like people started showing up, and I'm like, oh yeah, so what do you do? And it's like, oh, I'm the CEO of this place, and like, and it was this whole thing, where yeah, I just remember kind of feeling like Leonardo DiCaprio in the Titanic when he gets to sit at the table.
Playing for all these progressive elites. The progressive elites of New Jersey.
Yeah. And actually they were like amazing. That was probably like one of the most attentive audiences I had in a minute. Cause like they were pretty like loud and rambunctious like before, and everyone's having a drink and stuff. But as soon as the show started, it was just like
that's sweet.
That's great.
And it was crazy too, because like, you know, some people like really connected. There's certain songs that really like, one woman was like, wow, like that was, you know, my son just passed away and had this whole story. She's really like touched by some of the music. And you know, like two of these other guys, like one of the CEO guys came up and was like, wow, I feel like you've like lived so much more life than me. And I was just like, wow, I feel like you just have this mountain of money and you can do anything. But like, I guess every life has its own traps, right? So
I get it though, because would you have done a similar set there to the one you did in Red Deer?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Like, I get where he's coming from, because at the end of the set, throughout all those stories, it's like, yeah, you've worked some pretty crazy jobs. You've lived in all over the place. You've had a normie day job, whatever, with a media company for the last several years. It does seem like you've lived quite a life. Like, you've been like, that remote mining work sounded insane.
Yeah. And yeah, I think like that, you know, you kind of pick up little skill sets and things from different things in your life. But I think, yeah, that was one of them. Just kind of like being in the forest for so long by yourself, you know. I mean, like, you go back to camp and people would be there, but basically all the waking hours you're by yourself in the forest. And so when people are like, how are you doing on tour by yourself? That sounds like so much work. And I'm like, yeah, it's not like being like trapped in the forest. Like, yeah. I get to stay in a hotel every, you know what I mean? Like, like room service come in. Like,
you have a bed at night, but during the day you're all by yourself in the wilderness.
With any of those,
I'm talking about like touring as a musician.
Oh, that's what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah. No, and in the forest, I was like living in a tent.
Okay, yeah. I see.
With any of those sets, do you ever think, I'm just going to fuck around with these guys, come back out and do Buffalo Soldier for an encore?
my
do that
buddy,
one time?
My buddy is an audiophile, and even he's heard the story. He's always trying to get me to do a reggae song, because he loves reggae.
Even
too.
2 bars, just 2 bars. Take it into something else. Bait the crowd. Okay, so we gotta wrap up shortly, but we have to talk about the Junos. You put on not just incredible performance, but conceptually it seemed extremely well thought through and at times probably complicated. How did that formulate?
Yeah, so we knew we were going to do that broadcast, and we knew we were nominated like before the nominations came out, because like they contacted all the broadcast performers like 2 weeks before the announcements.
Okay.
We didn't know what we were nominated for, but like as soon as we got the call, they asked us, like, they had actually requested We Were Here, mm-hmm. which I was just fine like that. I like that song a lot off the album. But as soon as they said that, like, the cogs started turning, and like I started thinking about like what could be done on the stage and whatnot. And they were really like receptive to every single idea. I think the only one that wasn't was just like the idea as it was like holograms.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you think of holograms? And it's like, what do you think about having no budget after that? And it's like, but then like, yeah, you know, we like found another way to do it, and it was just like running smoke machines and like the fog machines, and then like we're just like, well, like what if we run the fog machines and run a projector through it? Like, is that might work? Um, it was the like Insight team that actually figured out how to do it, like by like adding X amount of extra water into it. Like it makes like the mist dissipate less, so
Oh
it
wow.
makes more like a denser cloud.
Yeah.
And so that running the projector through that, and like if you get it like thin enough, like the thinner it is, like the more clear the picture will come through.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they had like a lot of fun doing that, and they're like, I can see that becoming kind of probably a regular thing that they do now, because it was cool. Like it was kind of to have my grandfather kind of be there for that moment. Like it was important. Like I know there was talks initially about like having my grandfather actually come to the performance, but he's on dialysis. Like he can't leave the city.
Okay.
So
hey man, you got him there through the smoke. You've got him multiple writing credits and song credits on this record. I mean,
yeah.
And his voice is all over it. It's pretty sick.
Yeah. And so we brought him there, and like, and yeah, the whole thing was kind of like thought out. Some of it on the road was kind of worked out, but like most of it was, yeah, like really came together really nicely. Even like having Northern Cree, like when they kind of like accepted the invitation, was kind of pretty, like, I don't know, like they've been nominated so many times. They've been nominated for Grammys, like they're a big deal. So to kind of like join in on us, like with us on a collaboration, like, yeah, I was truly grateful for that. And like,
must have felt pretty validating.
Yeah, and even being able to work with them and talk to them. I remember being like so nervous before that set, and yeah, Joel from Northern Cree, like Steve Wood's son, will likely be the new leader of that group when if he ever retires. Like, yeah, he just came up to me after and like just put his hand on my shoulder, and he just looked me in the eye, and he's like, "We're with you," and like that was just like, meant so much.
Wow.
I was just, and I was like, all right, like that's the energy I needed. And then suddenly it's just like, us and them, you know what I mean? Like together and doing this work. So it went by so quick though. Like that's the biggest thing. Like we had some setbacks, like even like Hill Kirkudis, like who produced my album and was coming to be the musical director. Like she got COVID like days before the show, so then couldn't even come. And like there were some other things, but then like, yeah, it ended up just coming together, and people were saying like savor the moment, but like it just went by so quick.
Yeah.
Like, like
you're probably on fire the whole time.
Yeah. And just like thinking like, you kind of get a little bit in your head, right? Like, cause I'm just up there being like, don't mess this up. Right. Mm-hmm. Like, and then it's like gone like that. And then, then they brought me through the media room after that. And by the time I finished that media run, I got back and it was like Nickelback's like last 10 seconds of their set. So like I missed the whole show. So like that was kind of a bummer, because like I knew everyone else had put on so much work into their shows, right? And it's different. It's so much different seeing it, being there and being in the room, because like I can watch it back on the broadcast and stuff, but like you're not going to get like the feel of the bass and the heat of the flames, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Were you present in the audience for the protester?
Yeah, and I wish I kept the video. Like I was filming and I saw that, and I'm like, the boobs came out, and I just like wasn't sure if I should be filming.
Yeah.
Some boobs, and I'm like, maybe I should get consent. Can I film? Like, you know what I mean? Like I said, I don't want to be filming someone naked. I don't know. There's just something about it that rubbed me there. So I stopped, and then that happened, and I knew it was a protester like immediately. Though I was kind of surprised, like that the person had so much airtime. But I mean, good on him. Like, hopefully,
put yourself in Avril's shoes. You're on stage and somebody jumps up. How would you have handled it?
Oof. Oh man, if that happened during the set, yeah, like
it would make no sense for it happen during your set, though.
Yeah.
Like I've been so disappointed in the coverage of that since. It's barely even a secondary focus on the stories or the commentary I've heard is why this person was up there.
Right.
Who, like, I don't give a shit if their boobs are out. Like, why did they make this decision?
Yeah.
And the reason, the motive is very valid, very valid reasons to protest.
Right.
But in all of the commentary, whether it's the radio stations or the YouTube or just reading about it, it almost completely ignores that. It's like, oh yeah, and they also had land back written and stop the green belt.
The action gets the attention, but
yeah,
what she actually wanted to get across has been talked about very little.
Yeah, which I don't know. That pisses me off. But anyways, people all upset. Like, fucking, didn't they in Germany? Women can go swimming with topless now, and we're fucking. Anyways.
Well, I do believe, isn't Ontario, women can be topless in Ontario, right?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
There's a line in the hip song Poets about bare-breasted women.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think that's because, I'm sure there's.
That might be an old law.
Might be an old law.
That makes sense, though. Doesn't Germany have, like, the most nude beaches in the world?
We're going to have to find out, I guess. I don't know.
Just love being nude there.
Let's cover up a little bit. The jacket from the Junos, where is that jacket right now?
It's right there.
Oh, wow.
So Travis Schilling, pretty famous from a line of famous Canadian artists, right? Indigenous artists.
Yeah.
Tell us about the concept.
Yeah, like I knew, I kind of knew I wanted to have like the numbers on the jacket. Like I felt like we get this moment to kind of tell the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like every part of it kind of tying it together, and like how can we just like get the most into like this little fraction of time, right? And so yeah, I even working as a journalist, like, and seeing all these numbers coming out all the time, and there's a lot of the time these numbers get pretty heavily questioned and stuff, and it's just like, who am I to question it until someone actually does the work to check it out? You know? They're doing all they can, and they have like these radar and like so yeah, getting those numbers out there, and being able to kind of put that out there and stand with something and stand kind of for something has been kind of nice, because as a journalist you always got to be unbiased, right? So it's so to kind of have that and be able to kind of stand there with intention was definitely something that I felt, and yeah, it was just very strengthening and kind of freeing, and to kind of just say what you want to say, and stand with somebody and stand with something, stand for something. And so I knew I wanted to have that jacket. I knew I wanted to have the numbers on it, and I knew I wanted to work with Call and Response too, because like Call and Response, like, they're just these great like clothing designers in Toronto, and they've been working with me for like over a year.
Oh, cool.
And they've been like, they've been dressing me and like lending me stuff, and like, and they don't have to. And this is when like nobody knew who I was, and like they had dressed Prince, you know what I mean? Like, and they're helping me out. Like, they don't have to do that. So like I wasn't gonna like play the biggest stage of my life and just not work with these people who've had my back since day one. And like, so I knew I wanted them to work on it, but but there had to be someone connected to the story working on it as well, like, for a number of reasons, not just the fact that like, because when I brought the idea to Call and Response, they're like, okay, well, who's the Indigenous person that's working on this too? Because we're not going to be white people making this thing by ourselves, because that's like, and I was like, no, for sure. And so like we did put some feelers out, and like I was kind of pretty surprised when Travis kind of took the call, but like Shoshona and like Serene, know him very like somewhat on a friendly basis. And so like when he kind of got the concept, I remember I think I was in New Jersey at the time when we hopped on the call. So like all this came together like really kind of quickly. And yeah, you know, like I told him about the jacket, and I wasn't quite sure how we'd kind of get the numbers on there. And like, so he was the one who came up with the feathers and kind of having them fall, you know, so it's just like, it isn't just a number. There's something there holding it that you can tell it represents something, and it kind of like being able to kind of elude where it comes from. Right. And, but then it was him who like told me the story of his dad and like how he started, you know, how he became a painter. And then like, it just, yeah, just the similarities and the context of everything. Like it just, you know, it had to work, and it did work. Because like, for those who don't know, yeah, like Travis Schilling, his dad, Arthur Schilling, was also a painter, and he learned how to paint by grabbing like the charcoal from fires at residential school, and he would draw pictures of food under the bunk beds. And like, because they didn't have any good food there, he would like draw like sandwiches and fruit. And like the other kids at the residential school like go underneath and like look at these pictures and kind of daydream about food, right? And so that's how he learned to start drawing and painting. And
that's wild.
And yeah, so Travis learned from his father, and you know, very heavily influenced by his culture and his people and his father. And like, you know, I put out this album that's in the same vein. And so it's like, for us to kind of both work together and to kind of honor our families in this way, like, and remember other people's families, you know, like it just, those kind of like things don't come together like that often, and with that so much importance and connection. So
I'm like, from the music to the performances to even the fashion of it all, I'm pretty blown away with how extensively you use your platform. And there's nothing I like more than a creative who uses their platform for things like these. So huge respect to you, dude.
I just love the way that you're looking at that jacket as we're talking about it. Like it.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Like I feel, I'm still unsure what I'm gonna.
I was just gonna say, do you have a plan? Like, what do you do with that? Like, is it a one and done? Is that the only time you'll wear it? Do you think you bring it back? Does it get framed? Does it go in a Hall of Fame type thing sometime?
I'd probably give it to Travis to hang on to. He has a big old house up in Aurelia or something. Like probably have more of a place to be up there. I think at this moment, I'm still living in Toronto, so I got my little base here. But yeah, everything was kind of really thought out, and like I think even like the Karis team, the Junos team, were like, you know, they were really happy with us because they were just like, you know, they were pretty vocal on just being like, yeah, like this is kind of incredible to have somebody this hands-on and this prepared and to know exactly what they want to do. So the fact that they got us back and like, you know, made every idea happen was, yeah, pretty incredible.
Well, I don't think you'll struggle to remember those details.
Oh man, yeah. Well, it's weird because like it went by so quick, right? And it didn't even hit me till the next day because I did the media room, and then there was the UMC thing after, and then like I had to hop a flight to Denver, or sorry, to Texas the next day. But I ended up back in Denver because that's for some reason I'm always
your place now.
Connecting airport, and I just remember like just sitting there like watching the videos that people were reposting.
Yeah.
And man, there was just one video that like Guillaume Moffat, he was in the stands and he took this one video of like we finished the last chorus, and he pans over and the Jingle Just Dance are standing there still, and Steve just gets up, he's about to get up to speak, and it's just so silent in there, and you just hear like a lay call from like an Indigenous woman in the audience.
Wow.
And it was just this moment. And I remember just catching on, and it's just like I was in the Denver airport by myself. My manager was like on the next flight after me, and like I was like so happy I had my sunglasses. I just put them on because it hit me so hard. Like I'm standing in this packed airport watching this video, and then like, man, next thing you know, I just like just uncontrollably weeping, like, and I'm like got my sunglasses. Everyone around me probably thinks I have COVID because I'm just sniffling, like,
yeah.
I'm just like trying to keep it together, but like, you know, just the accumulation of just, you know, so much work, and then just seeing that, and like there was just nothing to compare it to, like in that moment. Like I was just kind of felt like so much pride, and like, you know, like, yeah, there's nothing to compare it to. I just felt like it was like our Wakanda moment, you know what I mean? Like
I mean, it was a spectacle for all the right reasons.
And yeah, and it was, and everything, like even Steve, even him getting up and saying those final words, you know, like everything was just, yeah.
Well, thank you for taking us through it, man.
It's beautiful. Truly beautiful.
Yeah, really cool. And I hope you still have some excitement throughout the rest of 2023.
Yeah.
Because you've had your fair share in the first quarter.
Probably enough to last a few years worth. Well, and I hope over these next few weeks off, you get a chance to just kind of sit and absorb everything that's been happening. It's sure fun on our end to watch it going on, and definitely wish you nothing but continued success.
Hey, thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a pleasure being on this podcast. Thanks for having me. Yeah, got 5 weeks off. Well, I think 3 weeks in writing mode, but yeah, you know, I'm gonna get some proper sleep, drink some green juice, probably, maybe try to go to the gym.
All right, dude. Well, thank you so much for making the time, and we'll chat soon.
Yeah, chat soon.
All right, peace, dude.
See ya.
Later.
Well, there it is. An interview we've been trying to get down for about 2 months now.
So it seemed only right to split it into two.
Yes, and huge shout out to Evan. That's 2 weeks in a row. Jeff Van Helvert 2 weeks ago, and now Evan Aysanabee, who very, very eager, respectable guest.
Yes, on
Evan
time.
was ready 2.5 hours before our interview.
Crazy. Let's see if we can we continue this.
Who's next? Yeah, who wants to be 4 hours early?
Well, we were driving in today, and I'm assuming this conversation part would have been from part one, but I drove past the VAT, and I was trying to see exactly where that Mustang would have. I got to get into that parking lot.
That is so good.
And see exactly where that Mustang got stuck.
Thanks for hanging out with The Road the Stage this week. If you can do us a huge favor, subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's CCS by Bose, Communal Creative Studios.
And it's, you know, honestly, like if you get your phone, it's as easy as just like you load it and you just like subscribe. Like it's just
one button.
Or even, let's say you're seeing the post of this episode. Love.
Yes, we would appreciate some likes and shares.
Oh, baby, that gets us really excited.
Yeah. And until the next time, you are Peter Michaels.
You're Patrick Bateman. You almost stole. So you're an Ontario kid. So are you familiar with Ed Whalen?
A little bit.
Do you know Ed Whalen, legendary Calgary broadcaster.
Corral.
I think he's got the broadcast booth at the Saddle Dome is the Ed Whalen.
Big wrestling caller too.
Wrestling, and so that was, and it just reminded me of that. He always ended his, I think it was always the Stampede Wrestling end, was in the meantime and in between time.
Oh,
that is it. In the meantime, in between time. That's
Wednesday.
it. Another edition.
Wednesday, I think.
Of Wednesday.